We return to the reception center. I want to find out why refugees had risked such a terrible journey. A group of Somali boat people is being registered. Unlike the Ethiopians, they are given refugee status by Yemen. These are all the new arrivals. They've just come off boats in the last few days, and they're lining up. They get a card, and then they can go into the refugee camps or move around in Yemen. The Somalis here all have terrible stories to tell. Many have fled fighting in the capital, Mogadishu. Why did you leave your home? They say that they came here because there's a terrible war taking place in Mogadishu. Thousands of people have died this year. Their homeland, Somalia, collapsed into anarchy 17 years ago and has never recovered. Maga? Abdullahi. Abdullahi is showing me this, what's this, a rasas? This is a bullet wound in his forearm. And he comes from a town called Afgoy, which is overrun with refugees. Several 100,000 people who fled the fighting in Mogadishu. Today, Somalia's fighting pits a US and Western-backed government against Islamist insurgents. So why did you leave? Abdi says both sides in the conflict wanted him to join up with their forces, and as a Muslim, he doesn't want to kill, and as a result, he had to leave. What makes me incredibly angry is that year after year, the crisis in Somalia continues to be largely ignored by the international community. Possibly up to 100,000 people will arrive this year, all of them with horrific stories to tell, and it's all part of the conflict in Somalia, which is still killing thousands. We set out to see what happens to the refugees once they have arrived in Yemen. We're driving through a burning desert to a place called Haraz. This is a refugee camp where the Somalis end up after they've gone through the reception center. Several thousand refugees live in Haraz camp, a windswept and forlorn place. Hello. How are you? Yeah. What's your name?
Sophia.
Sophia? And when did you arrive here? Sophia says many of the women in the camp are widows like her. She took the boat journey to Yemen after her husband was killed by Ethiopian forces in Mogadishu. And when she came with 2 children, this one was only 16 months old. Can you show me where you live? One of Sophia's roommates shows me around the shack. Yeah? Yeah, she's saying there's no house, no home. She says that she built this house herself and that she didn't get any help from the United Nations or others to construct it. United Nations officials told us they provide the facilities they can on a limited budget. You look around this place, it is neglected, it's squalid, people are living in makeshift shelters, it's totally inadequate. These people have literally been dumped in the middle of a desert. Conditions are so bad in Haraz that many refugees abandon the camp and make their way to Yemen's towns. We head to the port city of Aden. This is the poorest country in the Middle East, so there are few jobs to be had here. The streets are full of refugees doing menial work. Outside one of the shopping centres in downtown Aden, I've seen a lot of people who look like Somalis working as car washers. I've been told that that is one of the main forms of employment for the refugees who turn up here. They hope to send money home to their families in Africa, but it's hard even to survive here.
We don't have no food, we don't have no water, we're surviving on ration card. Some day we don't have even a penny.
And what's a good day?
And what's good on a good day? For 200.
200 riyals.
200 riyal.
Right,
Now,
okay.
you think
So that's about $1.
dollar.
Yeah.
A Pepsi or a Coke, you're buying it for like 100 riyal. If you buy food, you're buying it for 200. So what I'm making it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And if I show you what we sleep, you'd be amazed.
They urge me to follow them around the corner. So, yeah.
See one of them up there?
Okay.
The green stuff, this cod.
Yeah.
This cod, we eat it. So when we hungry, we don't have no money. We eat it so it takes the pain of hunger. So we
so you have
we
no
don't
appetite.
Have, no appetite. And this is very dangerous, but we have to eat it. Look at him, how skinny he is.
It's no good telling the men to use their car wash money to buy food. They believe the narcotic cat helps them to forget their problems. We move on to the slum of Bassateen on the edge of Aden, where many of the Somali boat people end up. So this is Bassateen, a maze of narrow streets with makeshift shacks. No one really knows what the population is. Some say 40,000, but it could be a lot more. And with thousands of people arriving every month, this is growing rapidly. I've been told that single mothers in particular find it hard to get a job. I'm led into a back alley to meet a group of Somali women forced into prostitution. Shukriya, what's your story? When she first fled to Yemen, her aim was to help her family back in Mogadishu. She says that the sea of suffering that she crossed made her forget that intention. Now she's just working for her survival. Zara's 23. She comes from Mogadishu, which she says she fled after her parents were killed. She was left alone with her child. She said that the assistance that she got from the United Nations was not enough to support her one child when she arrived off the boats, and as a result she was forced into prostitution. What's your daily life like? She says that her life is one of constant suffering. For these women from a conservative Muslim society, it must be absolute desperation that forces them into prostitution. And it's incredible to think that they had to escape the suffering and war of Mogadishu, cross the sea to get to Arabia, hoping for a better life, and then wind up doing this. Housing is in short supply. I hear the latest arrivals in Yemen congregate on a rubbish dump. This is the edge of the slum Bassateen. It's a rubbish dump, and you see these stick-like figures of the Somali refugees who've just come off the boats and haven't yet found anywhere to live, existing under the thorn trees. Among them, I find a mother and her children. Is this her boy? They're in a dreadful state. When did you last eat? When did the children last eat? She says her children have eaten nothing for the past 24 hours. This is the most desperate scene, and thousands of people are going through this all the time, and they're beyond help. Nobody is helping them. The slum is another dead end for the refugees. Many choose to head north for Saudi Arabia. But to reach the neighboring kingdom, they must run the gauntlet of this, the desert. We're driving along the road followed by the migrants on the way to Saudi Arabia. It's on the edge of the empty quarter, one of the most arid deserts in the world. hundreds of miles of waterless sand dunes. We spot a group of refugees on the side of the road. What's your name and where are you from? This man says he's a farmer from Ethiopia. He abandoned his home because his land had become a dust bowl. It's absolutely incredible. He says that he doesn't even know the way to Saudi Arabia. He says some of the group went west, others went this way, and he just decided to cut this way because there was a group that he knew. But Saudi Arabia is somewhere up there, and these people are lost in the desert. The road ahead is dangerous.